Good morning, everyone. So this is the mystery presentation in the agenda from the mystery company. So we're not that mystery, actually. Edgio is the result of the merger of a few companies. We are the merger of two of the largest content delivery networks, Edgecast Networks and Limelight Networks, as well as a third company, which is an innovative software company called Layer0. We were merged back in June this year, and we operate in the content delivery network, web security, streaming industry. If you ever watch Disney Plus, for example, you use our platform. If you ever follow Elon on Twitter, you use our platform. If you updated your Samsung or Sony device, you use our platform. And if you're one of the hundreds of millions of gamers on Free Fire, you also use our platform. So the topic today is, are you ready for the next 0 day? So maybe a little show of hand. Who feels that his organization is ready for the next 0 day? No? Okay, end of the presentation. So first thing is, what's a 0 day? Right, a 0 day is basically an exploit that the defender, which I assume here we don't have attackers, we only have defenders. If you're an attacker, raise your hand. No? No? All right. So it's basically a vulnerability or an exploit targeting a vulnerability that we as defender are not aware of. Right? It's being disclosed, and basically it's a race against time. The agenda today will be basically very simple. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll talk about the latest threat landscape, what are the best practices, and then what we do at Edgio. And obviously, if you want to know more, you can go on our booth, and I'll give you a much longer presentation. All right, so what's the landscape today? Well, if you think about it, with about 16 DDoS attacks every minute and nearly 2 billion records exposed in the last 15 years, which means about half of the internet user population that's been breached, it's not a question of whether you will be attacked or not. The question is, how ready are you and how fast can you take actions? In terms of being ready, this is what you're against. This is just about DDoS attack, but these are the largest DDoS attacks in record that are publicly announced. So you're looking at nearly 3.5 terabit per second of capacity. That's a layer 3 attack, and nearly 1 billion packet per second in terms of the largest attack. Obviously, you are not able to fend off these kind of attacks on your own. You need help. You need help because it's actually costing a lot of money. Last year alone, in 2021, the estimation in terms of the losses or the projected losses from cyber attack is $6 trillion. The good news is that the companies that are actually reacting the fastest are the ones that are the less impacted financially. So being ready and being able to react fast is extremely important. And it's actually getting worse. These are CVEs. If you look at the evolution of CVEs, in terms of growth, is nearly doubling every year. Sorry. From 5% increase to 10 to nearly 24%. As of today, you're looking at a bit more than 25,000 CVs in the wild. That's not that's not gonna stop there. It's only gonna get worse. The reason it's gonna get worse is because actually 0 day is not hard. A lot of people think that 0 day are extremely hard. Some are. But the reality is, half of in the wild 0 day are actually variants of previously patch vulnerabilities. And a quarter of the one that we see this year are just refurbished from 2021. So again, the question is how fast can you react? And it's actually interesting because it used to be, 0 day used to be something that you would see every few years, and then it becomes every year. And if you look at 2022, we had at least 5 massive 0 days. So again, it's getting worse every day. And it's also a matter of, when I say how fast can you patch or how fast can you react, it's an interesting case with Log4j because this was exploited within an hour. So within an hour of the disclosure, 1 hour, within an hour of the disclosure, we started seeing exploit. Actually, APT41 was the first one to target US infrastructure. And then a couple of hours later, we saw millions of attacks. So again, it's not about weeks, it's not about days, we're talking about hours. You need to be able to react in hours. And that's exactly what we hear from, when we do surveys with security professionals, CISOs, and security managers, what we see is, what they want is faster resolution and greater visibility into the time of attacks. That's what's important to them. Being able to identify and remove those vulnerabilities as fast as possible. So, there's a lot of different ways to deal with those issues. This is one of them. It's basically a method that you can use. It's called an ODA loop that was invented by, it's actually a military terminology. And the idea is to be able to close that loop as fast as possible. So you're looking at what's happening, you're observing, getting information hopefully in real time. Then you orient your decision based on the context of your company. That allows you to take a decision and then to act. And the faster you can go to that loop, the better your position versus the attacker. And that's what we've been doing in our solution. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about our solution and how we apply those concepts. So what we do at Edgio, from a web security solution standpoint, is really a complete solution. We have that massive network, it's 250 terabit per second of capacity. It spans the entire globe. We obviously are PCI DSS level 1, provide end-to-end protection, DDoS protection, layer 3, layer 4, layer 7. We offer also DNS. We also offer WAF or WAP, bot mitigation, as I say, layer 7 DDoS protection, and expert services. That means that we can also manage on your behalf, including 24/7 services. So that's really a complete solution. Now, this is basically bread and butter. Everybody does that, right? Everybody has a WAF, everybody has a bot mitigation solution, everybody has a DDoS mitigation. So what's special about us? Actually, one thing is extremely special about us, it's actually unique. We're the only solution that provides what we call dual WAF. So what is dual WAF? And why you should care? So dual WAF is basically, the idea is we provide you 2 WAF for the price of 1. So it's a good deal first, but why do you need 2 WAF? And that's back to what I was talking about, the ODA loop. What happened with a WAF is you're blocking application attacks. So what happened is you usually have a production WAF, which is blocking malicious traffic. And that has been fine-tuned by your security team or by us, depending on the model. And that's blocking attack. Now, what happens if there's a 0 day? So you actually have to test, what will happen is 0 day comes out, you your security team will create custom rules, or you will get that custom rules from your vendor, from us, for example, and then you have to test that rules against real traffic. And that's where it becomes a bit difficult, because if you have only one WAF, you're in a situation where you have to introduce new rules into the production traffic. And that's always a little bit difficult. So what we do is we run two WAF in real time in parallel, and those two WAF get all of the traffic, all production traffic. So you have a production WAF and an audit WAF. That audit WAF is basically just logging. So when you want to test your zero-day rule, you put it in the audit WAF, which is a duplicate of the production WAF. The only difference will be the additional zero-day rules. And then you can do your fine-tuning, you can do exception, false positive, and when you're happy, you switch. And then you can do this all the time. You can actually, instead of being reactive, you can be proactive. Because what it means as well is, not only that works for 0 day, but that also works on a day-to-day basis. You can get your security team to think, okay, what if this happened? What if I'm changing my paranoia level? What if I'm adding a bunch of other rules and I want to know what's happening? And because this is in audits, and at the same time you're protecting against existing attack, you have the ability to always look for new threat and vulnerabilities. So you're constantly trying to get ahead of the attacker. Again, that's unique, and we believe that's a clear differentiator with our solution. That also means that you don't have accidental outages. Because again, if you only have one WAF, if you make a mistake, you're actually touching your production traffic. So that's also why a lot of companies get hacked, because they are worried about changing those configurations, so they don't do it. And then one day they get hacked, and they get hacked based on a 0 day that's maybe 6 months old, right? Because they were too worried about touching their production WAF. With us, you don't have that issue. Another thing that we do a bit different, so that's again playing to your ODA loop, right? Because you have that dual WAF and the ability to look at any type of scenarios while you're blocking malicious traffic, you can actually do faster analysis, because you're constantly trying to get ahead of the bad guys by doing simulations, or what I call security A/B testing. That audit WAF can be used to do any kind of experiment and look at, you widen the reach of your WAF, and you're trying to see if you can detect malicious traffic that you don't see on your production WAF. So you can do faster analysis. At the same time, you can take faster decisions because you have access to more data. And once you take decisions, you can actually contain faster and act faster because you have no risk, right? You've tested this into a logging mode. When it's working fine and you're comfortable with the results, again, you switch, so you can act very fast. And you can get this loop extremely, extremely short. We have customers who change their configuration on a daily basis, and they feel very comfortable about it. Another thing that we do, and you will have a copy of the slide so you can read this later, but another thing that we do, bot mitigation is a very interesting topic. So about half of the traffic is actually non-human on the internet, so it means servers talking to servers. That's your Google bot and others, but there's also a lot of malicious traffic. People are trying to do a lot of nasty stuff through automation. You heard about credential stuffing, for example. Credential stuffing is what was used to hack the Australian Defence communication system at the end of September. Somebody ran a bot with a large amount of login and password and just got lucky. Because eventually you got lucky, right? Because people reuse their passwords. So credential stuffing, account takeover, things like inventory hoarding. So you've heard about Ticketmaster and the debacle with the Taylor Swift ticket launch. That's basically bots. Bots doing inventory hoarding. And why they do that? Because then they can sell it on the secondary market at ridiculous prices. Concert tickets, sneakers, PlayStation 5, you name it. Everybody is trying to use bots. A lot of companies actually like this because they can sell their stuff very quickly. But a couple of issues here. Number one, users are not happy because they can't get anything. So it's damaging your brand. And number two, it's not only about inventory hoarding. There's things like what's called freebie bots. So there's bots that will actually look for mistakes on pricing, because somebody just entered the wrong decimal point on your PS5, and instead of being $1,000, it's $100. They might actually fix this in the next 10 minutes. But with a bot, you can fulfill thousands and thousands of orders, and they have to actually send you the stuff. So it's a big business. So what we do with bot is very different from other players. We don't do client side, and the reason we don't do client side is because you got companies, so-called solver API, who are able to reverse engineering client-side bot mitigation. We do server-side, and at the same time we focus on AI and ML. Basically what we do is we look at the behavior of the user. We don't look at the IP address or what the requests look like, because this is very easy to fake. What we look is what's the behavior of the user. Right? Not what he looks like, but what he's doing. And that means we get much higher accuracy. So if this is a bit overwhelming and you're feeling like, okay, this is all good, but we don't have the resources to do that ourselves, we actually provide a full spectrum of services. You can do self-service, so you can basically run this by yourself if you have the expertise in-house, or you can ask us to do it, including on a 24/7 basis. That's available anywhere, including in Australia. So as a summary, again, the name might be a little bit new to you, but we are a massive company. Again, we've got one of the largest networks in the world with 250 terabit of capacity. That means that when you think about a 4 terabit per second DDoS attack, that's really tiny for us, so that's easy for us to deal with. We also have a complete solution. Everybody has a complete solution. You can get WAP, DDoS, and API protection from anybody. But what makes us different, and I think worth talking to, is things like the dual WAF, or the way we deal with bot mitigation, which is very unique. And at the same time, as I said, we've got a service offering, so you can run it by yourself, or you can ask us to do it. And I wanted to actually end that short presentation with simple study case. It's a European fintech company. They do a lot of crypto and other sort of investment. That company came to us because they had that issue of having not enough visibility and not being able to react fast enough, because they were they're heavily targeted by malicious actors. So what we did is we implemented our WAF solution with the dual WAF. We implemented our bot mitigation solution, DDoS protection, basically the whole set of services. In that case, they actually manage by themselves. They have security expertise, so they do it by themselves. And I just wanted to close with a quote that actually summarizes what I just said, but it's coming from the customer. This is what the former director of cybersecurity for Plus 500, he moved to another company, says about a solution. So I'll read it loud. Edgio and the data it generates give me holistic insights into my application stack that I can't get anywhere else. Again, everything is in real time. Combined with the power of their dual WAF mode, I can reduce false positive before, during, and after code releases while maintaining strong security policies. That's the idea, because not only you have to react fast against the attackers, but what happens with most companies is that they also release extremely fast. So there's new version of a website or an app all the time, and every time you change the website, you add a new feature, there's potentially a breach that's possible. So you need to constantly go into that other loop where you do the analysis, put this into perspective, then take a decision and act. And again, and again, and again. And that's basically the only way to do it properly. And I'm right on time. All right, so if you have any question, if you want to understand a little bit more, we are over there, we have a booth, and I'll be happy to tell you a lot more. Thank you.